Hello and welcome to What We're Watching. It's Catherine.
And Liz.
And Ed.
And John.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Hacks is back on Max. So it's season 3. It stars Jean Smart as an older comedian. I mean, she's been a longtime comedian. In the first season, we were introduced to her character. She's had a residency in Las Vegas, and that kind of goes a little bit off the rails. And she's forced to hire a 20-something writer to help her with her show. And it's hilarious. I'm a big fan. I've talked about it before. I might have talked about both season 1 and season 2, but now we're on season 3. And it's so good. So good. So again, stars Jean Smart as the main character. I don't want to say titular, but she is the hack of hacks, the hack being like, a hacky comic. Mm-hmm. She is fantastic. And then the writer that she hires is played by Hannah Einbinder, and she's great. This is a real fun concept. I just love the idea of getting deep into the Las Vegas culture of the residency and the old time comics. And this season, she is riding the wave of the second season. She had a super well received special, like a streaming special. And now she's kind of trying to figure out what to do next. And she really wants to host a late night show. And that is kind of an old thing for her. She almost hosted one back in the day, and then it didn't work out, and she's got a real grudge about it.
Joan Rivers. Right?
Oh, it's so parallels.
I was gonna say, is that the homage to?
Yeah, it definitely parallels a Joan Rivers in a lot of ways, because she's also very much in a Joan Rivers way, a very mean comedian. Joan Rivers had a lot of that vibe about her, and also little bits of Joan, which are she has tons and tons and tons of jokes just on index cards and in Rolodexes, and which was very Joan Rivers.
Right.
So this comedian's name is Deborah Vance, and season 3, I love when the seasons get better and better, because sometimes it's so disappointing when you see a season 2 and you're like, oh, that didn't quite hit as well as season 1. I mean, season 1s always have the advantage of this is a whole new situation and all new characters you're being introduced to. So it's got that going for it. And then season 2, often it's oh, I don't know what I wanted it to be, but this wasn't it exactly. So I often am not super excited about season 2s, but season 2 of this was amazing. And now season 3 is really hitting it out of the park. What, John?
Season 3 with how many episodes so far?
4.
What? Oh,
yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize. Okay.
Yeah. So they just had a roast episode, which was amazing. So she is being roasted. And one of the characters, her daughter, they encourage her / force her to come and do the roast, which is a very funny story. And that character is played by Kate Olsen. And that's a real complicated relationship. I mean, that's a lot of what this show is. The relationship between the Deborah Vance character and her writer is very sort of toxic and weird and bad, which is very funny.
When you said Kate Olsen, I was like, Mary Kate Olsen?
No,
So with Kate Olsen, what else has she done?
From Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh,
And the Mick.
that's great casting.
And the Mick. Oh, she's amazing in
That's
this.
great. I was like, wait a minute.
And it's actually...
Playing Melissa Rivers. I mean,
Yeah. What's also good, you were saying great casting. You don't realize how tall and thin Jean Smart is. And so to have Kate Olsen, who is also very tall and thin, it's oh yeah, that looks like it would be her daughter. It's pretty great. So yeah, they've had a couple really good storylines already for this season 3 with the daughter. And the roast episode is amazing. There's some great little guest star cameos of real comedians at this roast. Patton Oswalt was in there. It was really funny. I've been super enjoying it. Speaking of how many episodes is season 3 going to be? It's 9, but season 2 was 8 and season 1 was 10. So they've kind of been a little bit all over the map.
Inconsistent,
but
did you
whatever.
Did you not get the special from season 2 as part of season 3? Just an hour of her stand-up?
I mean, that would be amazing.
Hello, there's your episode 9.
Why didn't they? They could have just released the special that she released in season 2 as a special, as this character. That would have been
watch
amazing.
it.
I would have totally watched it. Yeah, that was really good. Because she also, in the special, that was in season 2, sort of the main storyline of season 2. She's really digging deep into all of her messed up relationships with her sister and her daughter. And like, that kind of cracks open a different type of comedy that this character had not really done before. So that was really good. Yeah, I would have loved to have just seen a special of that.
They should do it.
They should do it.
If it's like when a series is like, oh, that series is over. Like The Warrior. I rewatched all 3 seasons of The Warrior since the last time I mentioned it, just because I'm like, well, I watched the first 2 seasons like 3 times. I've got to watch it all again. But on Netflix this time, because I'm trying to give it the thumbs up, the double thumbs up, like Netflix, pick it up. Even if all they did was a movie for 2 hours, I'd take that still, just like a comedy special version of that season 2 comedy special. That'd be great. Do it.
Release it as a comedy special tandem to the series. Oh, I like
as
it.
that character,
Of
like
course.
Tar.
Of course. Not Tar. Tar's not real.
I really thought it was real.
Yeah, Tar's not real. We're never going to let that go. We're never going to let that go.
I didn't know what you guys were talking about.
Kate Blanchett.
I eventually figured it out.
It only came back because of Maestro for me. That it was like, I don't know which one of those did a better job. I don't know if I'd be following along any of their music.
Yeah.
I do miss the Twitter.
Oh, the Twitter of Tar.
She was so pissed at assistants and incompetence and this and that. I mean, I was like, wow, this woman's insane.
I know. It's too bad she's dead. Yeah,
Yes.
'cause they could have just kept it going.
Had she never existed. All right, we're off track. So.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've mentioned Jean Smart. I've mentioned Hannah Einbinder. So the other really fun characters, her manager, who is actually one of the co-creators and executive producers of the show, and that's Paul W. Downs. He is hilarious, and he's teamed up with Megan Stalter as his assistant, who is hilarious. They are a very funny team. They very much don't get along. He is very annoyed by her, but kind of needs her. She is extremely exuberant and positive and really not always on track with what should be going on. Very fun dynamic. I'm enjoying them a lot. And super cool that he created the show, I believe, with his wife. They won some awards.
Yeah.
I think for season 2. I'm not sure.
I think it was a Golden Globe. And they all got up and spoke.
They're great. So they are the team that created this. This is a total non sequitur. She lives in this giant mansion in Las Vegas because she's obviously
Vegas.
been, well, I mean, she's had this
She's in
residency,
residency,
forever. And she's super, super successful, although extremely still ambitious, like never satisfied. So even though she's got this like giant mansion, right? And she collects weird old antiques, including like salt and pepper shakers, which is a funny little storyline that they do, I think, in season 1.
Collects or just kind of leaves restaurants with them?
No. I mean,
okay.
she like seeks out like a different combinations of very intricate salt and pepper shakers, which is, I don't know. The whole thing is so genius. I just really am enjoying it. One of the characters is the woman who works in her house, Josefina. She's very funny, played by Rose Adobu. I think I'm saying that right. Anyway, she's great. The rest of the staff that works for this Deborah Vance character is great. I mean, it's a real like, she's a bad boss. I mean, she's just...
Is she a diva?
She's a diva
Difficult
and
and-
yeah, like really trouble, like hard to deal with, doesn't have any boundaries, which is very comedic. It works great. I mean, I would hate to work for this character, obviously, but it's real fun to watch people being tortured by her a little bit.
It feels almost like the opposite of Maya Rudolph's Loot character. Like billionaire trying to make good in the world. This is like hasn't made it, desperately trying to get there.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, she's made it enough. I mean, she's on private jets and tons of money, but still super desperate to hold on to it all. Where in Loot, you're right, she's more kind of oblivious with money and trying to be nice to people, where this Deborah Vance character, not trying to be nice ever.
No.
I mean, that's not her spot at all. Okay, so anyway, that is Hacks, season 3. It's currently in progress. I think they're dropping them in like sets of 2.
Apparently, that's what they've done. They did that in the last 2 seasons.
Oh.
And they're doing that this season until we get to the odd numbered, which will be by itself.
Oh, okay. All right. Because there's 9. Interesting. Thank you for that info, John.
Which is why, I mean, it's only been out for like 2 weeks, and that's how it's gotten to 4 episodes already.
That's
I was
right.
like, that's great. I didn't realize it's been going for no 2 weeks.
That's why he was questioning how many episodes I'd watched.
We're both right.
We're both right. But yes, I jumped on it immediately. And lucky for me, there have already been 4 episodes. Okay, so that's Hacks, season 3.
I saw a funny video with Jean Smart promoting Hacks where she kind of told a story or kind of got pointed out that she announced her co-star's new project that was coming out. And so suddenly the co-star gets a call from her PR at like 7 a.m. It's like, it's fine. Jean kind of announced the date that your movie's coming out. And I'm like, that's a pretty good marketing hack.
I mean,
Have
yeah.
Jean just drop your date on a interview.
Which actually, I mean, in terms of like, that's a slight misstep or like, whatever. Within this character, she would have done that too. She'd just been like, whatever. Oh, I blew your opening date. I got to announce your thing before you did. That's kind of funny that she accidentally did that.
Minor thunder stealing.
Yeah, minor thunder stealing. Exactly. Okay, so I'm really enjoying it. Super duper recommend it. And it's in progress. And I guess won't take that long because they're doing 2 episode drops. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about a series on Apple TV Plus called The Big Door Prize. I talked about it before. So this is season 2, which I have previously said that I sometimes have problems with season 2s of shows, particularly if I really like season 1. But boy, season 2 is so good. Okay, so here's the setup. We have this small town, love a small town storyline. And they have this mysterious, what? Am I not allowed to?
Here's a TV series, love a TV series. It's got characters, love characters.
It's in a
No,
in
the
a setting.
backdrop makes a difference, John.
It has a backdrop. It's
They've
not
got
just
cars,
on a
love
set.
cars.
I do agree that like the small town aesthetic, that is a genre that you can like.
Yeah,
It was more
yes.
the tone than really the actual
You
fact.
love commenting on my tone.
It just sends me off. I
All
don't
right,
know what
well,
it is.
whatever.
So you love a small town.
So I love a small town.
Love a small town.
Love a small town story. Love a small town series. In this,
love a small town gal. love a
Small town Christmas?
guy.
oh my God. Okay. All right. So it's in a small town. Great. We can continue. It's in a small town, and they get this mysterious machine that we don't know how, but it shows up in the general store. And if you put in, I think it's just like a quarter or whatever, you get a little card that gives you your life's purpose, which initially.
Only a quarter?
I think it's a quarter, yeah. So in the first season, it's really causing all sorts of havoc. People are putting in their, quarter or whatever and getting their little card, and it's really changing their lives. They're like, oh, that is what I should be doing, or I hadn't thought about that. Maybe I should completely change the direction of my life.
Or it's not capable of happening in a small town.
Right. So our main character, played by Chris O'Dowd, gets his, and it's kind of wah-wah, underwhelming. And so there is the flip of that, where it's like you could get this life purpose card and be like, oh, that kind of sucks, or it doesn't make any sense to me, or is not helpful at all. So you have the juxtaposition of people being very excited and changing their whole lives, and then particularly our main character and a couple other characters being like, this is weird and I don't love it and I don't know what to do with this piece of information. So season 1 was really interesting, and I was very into this. What is this magical machine? Like, are we going to figure out what's going on with this magical machine?
Is it just a dude in there printing stuff?
Yeah, who's
should
very,
do that.
very insightful for some reason. We did not get the answer in season 1, and I couldn't wait. So this is based on a book. So I went and got the book from the library.
You cheated?
I listened to the audiobook, and I think we're doing something slightly different in the series than what they did in the audiobook. I'm always fascinated by an adaptation and like what they decide to keep and what they decide to change. And it does feel like they have changed some significant things, but I'm not sure because we're still in progress on this season 2. But it doesn't feel like it's going in the exact same direction. So now season 2, the machine is elevating to the next level. So, yeah, you get a little animated thing that tells you a little bit more. So, about half the characters have done this next level thing.
Is it another quarter? Does it cost 2 quarters now?
Well, I mean,
50 cents?
No. I mean, I think it's still 1 quarter. So maybe at this point you're in for 50 cents. So at this point in season 2, we're progressing to where people are trying to make these life adjustments and then also getting this new bit of information about where their life purpose is going to go based on this little animated extra bit of information. So, I mean, it's super interesting. I like that it's quirky without being ridiculous. It still feels kind of possible and real. You know how sometimes quirky characters are like, well, none of that's ever real. But okay. Although I will say, one of the quirkiest and the most fun is played by one of our favorites, Josh Segarra.
Oh.
He is playing a real ridiculous character. He's really great. And this season, we have him teamed up in a very over-the-top romantic relationship. That character is played by Mary Holland, who we've seen in some other stuff, who is real goofy and very fun. Yeah, so I really like The Big Door Prize, and I would highly recommend it. So season 2, Apple TV Plus, and it's currently in progress.
Great.
All right.
All right. Okay. Liz, what do you got?
Well, okay, so I went away on a girls' weekend, and day drinking, by the time you hit evening, it's like, all right, we all just need to watch a movie and chill out.
Some of us need a nap.
There were naps, but this is now evening, Eddie. So I had seen a promo for it, and I was like, does anybody have access to their Prime account? So it's Amazon Prime, and it's the new rom-com romantic comedy, The Idea of You.
Oh, yeah,
Did
sure.
anybody else see it?
I'm excited to see it.
Me too. I have it on my radar for surezies.
Okay. So I watched it with, I think there were 6 of us total girls. I sat next to my girlfriend, Kimmy, who 90% of the movie we just laughed through. So
Because of the movie or because of Kim?
both. Kim and I can always just get laughing. And I make comments. She's like one of the greatest audience. Like, you know, if you need to hire someone to laugh in your audience, Kimmy is the...
She's a good...
best.
Yeah, love it.
It starts Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Galitzine. Obviously, everybody knows Anne Hathaway. Nicholas, you may know from, he's been in the series Purple Hearts and Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Okay, so that's where I know him from because my daughter made me watch it. Not made me watch
That's
it, but
a movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a movie. It's a rom-com. He's playing a gay character, and he's royalty, and he's involved with the president's son.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then Mary and George, which is available right now. So he's doing well.
Wow, he's doing a lot.
He's doing a lot right now. So it's basically he's in a boy band. You could kind of say similar to a Harry Styles and Olivia Wilde vibe. So he's 24 and she's 40. And she must have had her child very young, her daughter Izzy. And she takes Izzy to Coachella. But they've all access backstage passes. And so or another, she goes into this trailer thinking this like high-end trailer is where the bathrooms are. You got to make leaps. You got to make leaps here, people. We're just going to make the leap. So it's a nice, beautifully clean, RV, freestanding, air conditioned, this is where everybody's going to the bathroom. Girl.
No.
Okay. And
Well, maybe she figured because they had VIP passes, she could go to a
Sure.
VIP
Okay.
bathroom.
The
all
VIP.
VIP. Yes, exactly. So Soline is her name. And she basically, Hayes Campbell, Nicholas's character, walks out of the bathroom, basically bumbling right into her. And she's like, can I use the bathroom? Like, just doesn't act like she knows who he is or is not impressed by, which he, of course, with his British accent, is very thrown by this.
Oh, aren't you supposed to know who I am?
Yeah. So there's instant chemistry.
Yeah, sure.
And then, it's Coachella. So eventually we're having to watch, I felt like the songs, the music was very boy band-esque, but it was like, do we have to listen to the entire song? And they did that numerous times. And I said to Kimmy, I'm like, wait, is this like an album they're going to put out after this? Or like, is there a soundtrack? I mean, this is like they're really shoving the music down our throats. Fine. So they have chemistry. He like sings from the stage to her, like, and she's just like, oh my God, And it's very tropey. I mean, in the sense that should they be together at this age gap? Is she too old for him? How's this going to affect her daughter? Her daughter goes to a back east camp, real convenient. Like, you're going to be gone for the summer for a month. Mom is free. Thank God. I was like, this is a teenager in high school. I did not know you went away to sleep away camp. Well, it was a theater camp.
Oh.
So
There are serious camps. I've known parents with high school age children send them away for like a month plus.
yeah. And if it's a theater camp, you have a production at the end of it. So you really need to focus.
And band camp, and there's all sorts of camps
Yes,
out there.
exactly.
Cheer camp.
I guess.
So now
Sure.
she is free to have
Convenient.
this fling little affair. And, there's an ex-husband played by Reed Scott. He's getting a lot of work lately. He's on like one of the new Law and Order, might be Law and Order, the original that's back.
Yeah, he was on Veep forever, right?
Yeah.
That's who that is? Yeah.
Yep. So she basically takes off to New York and is going to go on tour with Hayes Campbell. Now, I'm just going to be crass here. So the first night that she like goes to his New York hotel room and they like get down,
Get down.
it's not enough. They really don't give
in
us
terms
enough.
of what they showed in the movie, you needed more. Okay.
I was with 6 women. You didn't get any of us horny. Okay. It was not enough. It was not hot enough. It was entertaining. Anne Hathaway's beautiful. Great acting. They do seem to have chemistry. But you're just sort of like, eh. But there was enough in that sequence. There was sort of a montage of them doing it. And it was over a short amount of time. Now, I'm also going to be just crass again. Because I think women can relate to me. When she walks out in the morning, like in one of his shirts, or like, "Hey, good morning," I was like, "Hey, yeast infection," because like you cannot do it that much over 24 hours and not be like, "I need some amoxicillin." So, I mean, it was just like, this is what Kimmy and I are commenting on the side. So it didn't totally take you away in escapism that you weren't sort of like thinking of logistics of these type of things. And as the boy band vibe is going, it does seem there's a little tension, like maybe he wants to break out on his own and write his own
become a
material.
solo?
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, Yoko, oh no, she's going to break up the whole damn thing.
Oh, geez.
And then literally they show clips of the press and obviously social media, and they're like, Yoko, oh no.
Oh, no.
So, like, it was very predictable, everything. There's literally, if you are surprised by anything, I don't know what your capacity is for not understanding just story, because it was like, this is going to happen. Because they try to make it work and it's going to be fine. But of course, it's not with social media. And with a teenage daughter, there's conflicts. So Anne Hathaway has to make the decision that we cannot be together.
Oh, no. Oh,
Because she's 40 and he's 24. So that's 16 years age gap. That is significant.
It is.
But he did not care, people. But she's the one that said, I cannot do it. I cannot do it. And he says something like, in 5 years, like when your daughter is done with college, and that's not a consideration. And I thought of 9.5 weeks, which is now so problematic as a movie. But same type of thing. She's an art gallerist. She has an art gallery. And one of their first scenes, I'm going back a little bit, but he goes in and he's like, he knows nothing about art, but he needs stuff for his flat. He picks the ugliest shit. He buys the entire store. And you're like, where are you going to have this collection of like very abstract, weird pottery? Nowhere. What the hell are you going to do with this? You're just like, oh my God. But she's like twinkle in her eye and smiling. And the assistants are all like, and there's paparazzi outside. You're just like, it ain't a Notting Hill, okay? Let's put it that way. So you're like, all right. So they end it like tears. I love you, blah, blah, blah.
Anne Hathaway is a good crier, too. She has
huge eyes.
Yeah.
She has huge eyes. You can't miss them.
Wait,
welling up.
no, we didn't know that.
Yes, they're welling up. She looked great in this. That's the other thing. They didn't really look that far apart in age. I know we're supposed to think 16 years, and they may actually be at least a decade apart in age in real life. She looks good.
I know. She looks really good. I think actually that is one of the things that I heard that was a weird negative comment. They were like, this is unrealistic. Anne Hathaway, as a 40-year-old, first of all, she is 40.
Yeah.
And she just happens to be a gorgeous, stunning woman. There are gorgeous, stunning women who are 40. So
Absolutely.
It seemed very annoying that was one of the criticisms, that part of the movie was unrealistic. It's like, no, there's a lot of super hot women.
At one of the scenes, the band has got the chateau with their young girlfriends, and she feels insecure. And you're like, Anne,
No.
No,
You good,
she
girl.
comes out in a huge caftan, and all the young skin nubile girls are in their bikinis, and they like make some snide comments, and basically cause a rift between Hayes and Celine, and you're like, first of all, you wouldn't let these like little 21-year-olds at the most bother you at that point in your life, probably.
You're just like, whatever, girl.
Yeah, you're just like, but yeah, you also got on the band bus. I mean, you knew what you were getting into, honey. So fast forward, they're breaking up. Maybe we'll see each other in 5 years. And the movie ends, and you're like, wait a minute, we better get the 5-year. And so 5 years later.
Oh, we do. Oh,
there
thank
was
God.
one or two things in there. I don't know what the director was thinking.
will hold on one second. I just want to say this is very spoilery. I mean, we now know the entire.
There's nothing. There's no twist.
You're saying you couldn't spoil it. It was
there's no
pretty
twist.
straightforward.
I mean, that's a good point. She's
There's
saying
nothing about it.
If you've ever seen a rom-com, this is
You know
not
exactly
spoilable.
where
this
it's
is
going.
a Twinkie of a movie. It's going to be good forever.
A Twinkie?
No
Oh.
spoiling this.
Kind of. No. So Michael Showalter, who was the director, there were one or two choices he made that you're like, huh? That the tone or the pace or just the style would like change in the middle of it. And you're like, what is happening? So end of movie, crying, see each other in 5 years. Fast forward 5 years, Zoom calls her daughter. So we've done the check. The daughter's okay, living someplace else. Not near her mom. She's now got a haircut, more mature because she's 45.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She's now wearing a pantsuit, and she's at her art gallery and just living her life. And has to watch a late night talk show. And now here's Hayes Campbell as a solo artist.
Oh, solo. He did go solo,
Singing
people.
a song straight to the camera that the lyrics seem really like her. It was like Longing for You. And once again, we had to listen to the entire song. So you're like, my God, okay.
They were
Got
real
it.
committed to these songs.
Well, I actually think is a singer. My girlfriend Kimmy gave his whole bio. She is the one that, if you guys don't remember, was obsessed with Twilight.
Oh, I remember she was obsessed with Twilight. Yeah.
In Vegas. And she was telling me all about Edward and Belle's origin story and this and that. And it was driving me so crazy in Vegas one time. I go, enough. Let's go up to the room at 2 a.m. because we don't even know where our husbands were. I go, let's go watch it. I just want to watch it. And the running commentary is saying next to me the entire time, like, they got to be together, but they can't be together. And I'm going, why can they be out in the sunlight? Because it's really overcast there. I mean, it was nonstop. So she is always really good at
God.
knowing the teen hot guy, what's going on.
God.
So she knew Nicholas Purple Hearts and or all the shows he's been in. And I guess he can sing. So we got to see a lot of that singing. And he's like, what are you up to now? Well, I'm just wrapping up my tour during the interview part of his appearance. And I think I'm going to go back to LA and really reconnect. There's something I need to check on. And you're
'cause
like,
it's been pin 5 years. Take that pin out. Let's go.
I was going to check on her pussy. So, and she's not with anybody. So it's like, she's at work, ordering some more ceramics or something. And she feels something change in the atmosphere. It's a pop star has just arrived in your small gallery in West Hollywood or Los Feliz area. And she comes out and it's just like the big Anne Hathaway smile tilting of the head like, it's on now, motherfucker. And that's basically how it ends. And you're just like, okay. And when it's based off a book, and which always cracks me up is as a writer, how lucky you are to get your book optioned and it actually made. I mean, because when Anne Hathaway was doing press, she did Jimmy Fallon, and I saw this clip, and she's like, it's based off this book. It's a fabulous book. Did anybody read the book? And when I say not one person clapped, and Jimmy Fallon and her just started laughing, and he goes, yeah, okay, that's more a Stephen Colbert audience. It was very funny. And she's like, well, it's a great, book and this and that. So I didn't know it was based on a book, but the author came out and basically said that she was somewhat annoyed with the ending. And you're like, why? As the writer, I get it, but the ship has sailed. You sold the book right.
Yeah. Why would you do
Why?
that? Yeah.
I don't know. But so
Because they wrote the book as a single one-off book, and now the movie's made it a sequel. I'm not going to be involved. They don't need
I
me.
don't feel like we're going to see what happens after the 5 years. I mean, I don't know. But, acting wise, Anne Hathaway can't really do any wrong. She was fantastic. She looked gorgeous. Like I said, rom-com, totally enjoy it. I wish it had been hotter or sexier. Some people might think it was enough for them. It was not enough for me and my group of girlfriends. Okay.
Good to know. Okay.
But it's on Amazon Prime. It's enjoyable. So then I watched on Netflix Unfrosted.
Unfrosted. Okay.
So that
Sweet.
is yes. Well, or saccharin. So I guess during COVID, Jerry Seinfeld wrote it with Spike Fierstein, and he's known for writing on Seinfeld and the Bee Movie. So they have a long history that goes back. And I think there was one or two other writers as well.
And if you know anything about the Bee Movie, that writer's been in like hundreds and hundreds of teenagers' papers that they've turned in, just copying and pasting the entire Bee Movie script into their papers as filler.
What? What are you talking about? I have
didn't
never
know
heard
about
it.
this?
No.
It's a phenomenon out there that people have taken the entire Bee Movie script and just dumped it as text into things, as like filler text. It's pretty hysterical, I think.
What?
They don't get away with it. I mean,
Obviously not. That's kind of the joke, is that it's so obviously the script from the Bee Movie.
That is
How
crazy. I
weird.
have never heard that.
okay.
That's
no,
interesting.
neither did
Okay.
I. And Jerry directs it as well. And it's basically the story of the Pop-Tart
Right.
or the Tart Pop. Like
The Tart Pop? Why would it be
because
called?
it's the origin story completely fictionalized between the Post and Kellogg's and the cereal wars and how they're going to revolutionize it with this portable little
Toaster pastry. Right,
Exactly.
okay.
It's completely made up. It is silly to the point of stupid. And I watched it with my husband and my son. The cast is phenomenal. Jerry Seinfeld's the main character, basically. He is the main marketing guy, second in command, basically. Mr. Kellogg's is played by Jim Gaffigan. Melissa McCarthy, she was working at NASA because the cereal wars left her bitter. And so they bring her back to solve this. And of course, Melissa, actually, for how over the top she typically is, she was the most like authentic in, even though crazy outfits and a wig, she always got to do a wig. She was by far one of the most believable characters.
Is she playing like a scientist or a marketer? What is she playing?
All the above. Like,
Okay, everything.
to help solve this problem with Jerry. And I guess somewhat of an unrequited love affair that couldn't really happen because they're rivals.
With cereal?
With Serial is Amy Schumer, basically is head of Post.
Oh, okay.
They had so many great guest stars and characters. They'll have the Quaker Oats family, and he looked like a Quaker, and there was funny bits about that. And, then there's this whole Hugh Grant, he plays Tony the Tiger. It's great.
Oh, right.
And all the sort of mascots for all the series, a lot of us grew up with it. The Dracula, Pop, Snapple, Crack.
That's wrong. What is it? Snap,
got-
crackle, pop.
you got 'em
Snap,
right.
crackle, pop.
Not in the right order.
Not the right order.
Oh, okay.
It's like old age crackle, snap, pop. Like, I don't know. And so, there's a lot of bits in it. It almost was a farce. Like, it just, tone was a little difficult to get behind. And does anybody care about the stakes of creating a Pop-Tart? I don't really know. Because it was so absurd, you almost wish some of it was true, because if it was, you'd be like, okay.
So
truth-
none of it's true, or we don't
No.
know how much of it's true?
No, supposedly it's all made up. Now,
Oh.
set-wise, costume-wise, fabulous, because it's like 1963, okay? There are funny moments in it, but it just had moments where you were just like, this is ridiculous. And not ridiculous, like dumb, fun ridiculous. Like they bring in, because they're trying to crack the code. Melissa McCarthy's like, I'm going to bring the best of the best in. So she brings in Schwinn Bike creator, brings in Jack Lalanne. That was one of those moments, like James Marsden is awesome. He plays a Jack Lalanne character. It's so great. Then Chef Boyardee. I mean, like, it was just so dumb. You're like, okay, I'm wanting to enjoy this or think this is funnier, but like, ugh. There's a subplot with Christian Slater who does not want these Pop-Tarts invented because he's part of the milk mafia. And, there's been a long partnership between cereal and milk. Now you're going to create a product that does not need milk.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a huge problem if you're the head or represent the milk mafia, obviously.
Well, the main person that when he is kidnapped, Jerry Seinfeld, to be confronted.
He's kidnapped?
Yes. And
Okay.
then like, hey, man, you better watch out. Peter Dinklage is the one that's like the badass, milkman. Harry Friendly was his name. So, I mean, the cast was just insane. I mean, of course, everybody's going to do a Jerry Seinfeld movie. John Hamm, there is a great cameo where they come in to pitch what you're going to name the Pop-Tart and how you're going to market it. And it was John Hamm along.
From Mad Men?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And he even does this bit like, you know, do you know who I am? Do you know who you are? You're nothing. Like, you're so lucky to have my idea. Like, it was a total homage to his character
in Mad Men. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was great. So like I said, there were moments and you were like, this could have been genius, but tone-wise, something just was off. And the concept, they took it too far. When I first saw it advertised, I was like, oh my God, who knew? Of course that actually happened. That would make sense. If they had gone on that path where they really were fooling us, the audience, to think like this is actually something that happened versus like it got so over the top at moments, you're like, okay, well
obviously
this did not happen.
Yeah.
And no aspect of it happened. That's sort of where the leaps, you could not take it with them. Unfrosted on Netflix. And I have one other comment about Netflix right now.
Okay.
I'm not talking about at length this show, but it's an overall comment to Netflix. They are getting these foreign movies in and then they're ad-libbing them. And this is not an option, John, to like turn off the ad-libs. They like arrive.
Not ad-libs, you mean?
I 100% am on board with that. Netflix, listen to Liz. Start ad-libbing these movies. No more dubs and subs. Start just making up the story. You got all the video. You got the rights to it. No one's going to see
strip out all
it.
the audio and have comedians come in and just
Mad
make up a
libs.
story.
This one, I'll say, it almost felt like that's what happened. So maybe that's why I got it messed up. But yeah, so the dubbing, okay? So this, like, you couldn't turn off the dub and get in the original language.
Really?
Absolutely, go look it up. It's called the Shanta case. The mother's voice is so bad.
Oh, no.
I'm like,
John is checking right now.
It's a series based on a real life story. It's awful. This young 13 or 14-year-old girl found dead, and she was adopted, and she was one of the first, I think, from China adopted into the part of the country in Europe. And it was just like the mother's dubbed voice. Oh, where's my daughter? Oh, my daughter. I'm worried about my daughter.
Oh, no.
Oh, Ashanta. I love Ashanta. Please find Ashanta. What are they doing to us? This cannot be what's happening. I'm telling you, that's about accurate.
Why are you complaining? You should just be auditioning. This is your tape, right? Send this in.
I'll just clip this out and we'll prep it for you and you can send it off.
I'm so tired, Alfonso. What are we doing, Alfonso? The dad's name. And then I'm just going to blow it all here now. When you find out that bitch is the one that killed the daughter.
Oh, no.
Fuck you. And your weird ass, like, dubbed in voice that, like, oh my God. Of course, I was watching.
You. Oh, no. You're dead.
Oh, no. Ashantu, I killed you. It was my fault. And I'm going to ask crazy. And we don't want to take any responsibility. I had headphones in.
Oh, no.
And late night, I'm like, fuck. What the fuck? I was like, oh my God. And my husband's like, what? I go, I can't get into this, but Ashantu's mother.
but it's very annoying.
Yeah, Rosario killed Ashantu. Like, I cannot. This is like, oh, I was enraged. So, Netflix, if we're going to have to deal with dub voices, spend a little bit of money. I mean, like, I could have done a better job, and that's saying a lot. In the sense of like, John, see, I'm telling you.
I can't tell.
Because I'm telling you, it's not an option, John. You cannot listen in its native, Spanish. I think it was actually
Galatian.
What?
The Spanish dialect, Galatian.
No, you cannot. I don't
very
think.
specific. Okay.
So that's just a side note.
Side note.
And I'm sure you crime junkies have probably watched it because it's like top 10 on Netflix, so you get sucked in. But when I tell you, it is berserk. And then I had to go on the deep dive. Like, is this real? How much is this? It is a real case. The parents were found guilty. They are in jail. Rot there, you motherfuckers. I mean, and it's
Wow.
like, but at the same time, like her voice, I was like, for that voice alone, you deserve to be in jail.
I don't think that's their fault.
It is.
The murder, yes. The voiceover, no.
We're going to have to redo the entire voiceover. There was too much emotion and people were like feeling for the characters. We got to really get them to hate them.
You did not feel for her. And then, because you kept thinking like, I'm supposed to. And then when it turns out like you really are not supposed to,
Maybe that was a directorial choice. Maybe they were manipulating you into hating her because the voice was so dumb, so that when it was revealed that she was the murderer, you were like, yeah.
Ooh, maybe they were doing the best version of the voice in the real movie, and it was a super irritating voice, and you did start to hate them towards the end, and they were just trying to be as irritating as the original character.
Yeah, maybe it's accurate, Liz. We don't know. We don't know. All right, cool. Okay, thank you. Wow. Interesting. All right, Ed, you're up. What's going on with you?
Well, I don't have too much fresh stuff. I've got one fresh thing, but it wasn't really even that fresh. And kind of like Unfrosted, not super well received. But I'll tell you what, I'm a huge fan of the original 1989 Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze and Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
And so I was 100% on board for whatever you're going to try to do with the new one, Roadhouse, on Amazon Prime with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right.
I mean, I wasn't disappointed. Jake's been in great shape for a couple movies now.
Right.
And I have no issues whatsoever with him playing a badass character a la Patrick Swayze, who comes into town to like beat up the bad guys at the bar. So I did a double feature. I watched the original because I love the original. I
course
probably
you
watched
did.
it a dozen times or more.
Did you say a dozen times
Well,
or more?
it's like a late night viewing. You put that on, you're kind of paying attention to it. It's like a kung fu movie. So
Yeah,
there's not too much plot. Plus,
Okay.
also, it's way old, so you're not watching it for Kelly Lynch anymore. You're like, yeah, that was a while ago. That's fine. Love story's over. We just need the action. Ultimately, you get these great fights between those two, and there's some good, like, bad guy stuff that's happening. The bad guy's the bad guy the whole freaking movie, and he really gets it at the end. So in the new one, Joaquim de Almeida is a bad guy in many, many of the things that he's played before. And he's a Colombian bad guy usually, and he doesn't lose his accent in this. And you're just like, oh, he's going to be the bad guy. Yeah, he's the bad guy. Okay, fine. So that's fine. But the weird thing is, in the original movie, the bad guy has to hire like a super high level, like kung fu guy, martial art specialist to come in and beat up Patrick Swayze. So, of course, they had to do the same thing in this one to beat up Jake Gyllenhaal. And they brought in Conor McGregor, who is not an actor. And he didn't act in this, unfortunately, which is one of the problems with it. But I knew that going in, so I'm like, disregard whatever he's doing. He's got like bow leg. His chest is built weird, so he already stands kind of like shoulders out and arms out. And then he's in that position for the whole movie.
Oh,
like he doesn't relax for a second. It's weird.
Well, he can't. He's a bodyguard.
But
He's tense.
I had just watched the previous one, and the guy that plays, I don't have his name, but the guy that plays the bad guy, like protector, whatever, in the first one, he's like on the entire time. He doesn't have a single thread of like not just wanting to fight to the death. And they do fight to the death in the original. So
they fight to the death?
on the shores of the ocean, and he's like,
What?
Logan! And he sends the dead guy's body back across the river.
You're forgetting one crucial element. Patrick Swayze is shirtless in it.
Oh,
that
a
scene.
lot.
It's so sexy.
And so is Jake Gyllenhaal. It's a lot of shirtless action in both of these Roadhouse movies.
Yeah.
So if you like the original because it's just guys fighting, you're going to get plenty of that in this one. If you like the original because it's Patrick Swayze shirtless, you get shirtless dudes fighting that are probably pretty hot in the same category. I would say probably if you had still had a Chris Farley on SNL style character, you could have totally had Jake Gyllenhaal and that guy doing a Chippendales dance-off a la Patrick Swayze.
Oh, okay.
Like that bit totally would work with this version of Jake Gyllenhaal.
I just have always loved the concept of Roadhouse, where it's like, this rogue, roaming bouncer that just goes into these, bars or roadhouse that need to be wrangled under control. And only he, with his bouncer experience, can bring it under control.
Well, it's not even him, because he had to call in his backup bouncer, Sam Elliott.
Because it was that bad.
I gotta do this again.
Well, it was that bad, the bar, that,
I mean,
no
that
one else could
happens,
do
I
it.
guess.
This is how problems were solved in the 80s. You hired a bad guy to come in and take care of your bad guys. But he was really a good guy.
Yeah.
He could sew zone things up.
Stitches.
Jeez.
All right, so I recommend both Roadhouses. I don't have much more to say about both of them other than 30 plus years later, it was ripe for a remake, and it got it, and enjoy.
Nice. Okay.
So, having done a double feature, I thought I'd bring something that featured someone doubly.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
God, stretch.
No, I know. Again, both of these aren't particularly fresh because they're from last year, and we're well into this year. So 2023 stuff feels old, even though it isn't at all. Haunted Mansion on Disney Plus with Rosario Dawson. Excellent.
Yeah,
I thoroughly
I saw
enjoyed it. The visuals gave me every backstory for all the different versions of that ride that there are at all the parks, because there's slightly different backstories for all the actual Haunted Mansions at the different parks. They all have their own stories.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
But they took so much of the design, and I actually took the time when I watched this the first time. I rewatched it yesterday for the pod because I'm like, I want to watch it again fresh. The design. I forgot that after I watched this, I went and watched the behind the scenes, the making of, and all the special stuff that they have in the extras on Disney Plus. They took every piece that they could from the original designers and the ride. There are so many notes that if you like that ride, they're all over it. It's really good. And I have previously watched all of the other iterations of the Haunted Mansion. So far, this is the best story that they've done with this kind of premise and storyline and that. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm not going to spend much more time on it other than just a real quick cast list.
Wait.
What?
What was the double of the double?
I haven't got to that yet, which is why I'm
okay.
getting through it fast. It's
Boy,
Rosario
wow.
Dawson is
Okay.
the connection point.
All right.
So Rosario Dawson, Lakeith Stanfield, Owen Wilson, hilarious, Tiffany Haddish, and Danny DeVito. And to top off the whole cast, Jamie Lee Curtis as Madame Leota. She almost couldn't do the role. It was like she was going to have to wear as much stuff as Rebecca Ferguson in Dune.
Yes.
And she's like, well, then you can't see my face. Turns out there was like 50 pounds of headdress that she has to wear at one point. It's pretty awesome. So all of that was very well worth the second watch of that one as I prepared to bring another Rosario Dawson, the other feature of this double that I watched, in Ahsoka on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
So she's the titular character.
Don't say titular.
But also, it's based on a character from the Clone Wars cartoon animation, and she gets trained by Anakin. That's not actually voiced by Hayden Christensen. But in this series, you do get Hayden Christensen and her character together. And that's one of the things that the TV series has been doing, is they're giving you the stuff that you didn't get in the movies because they were telling the movie plots. Now they're giving you like, yeah, Ahsoka is Anakin Skywalker's Padawan. That's who he trained to be a Jedi. So now that she's a full-on Jedi, I got trained by Darth Vader. I may need to reevaluate all of the things sometimes. So it's a fun character arc and storyline. And one of the things I don't know, because I didn't watch all of the Clone Wars, there's a lot of them. I can't remember if you ever saw Ahsoka's headband come off, but it's just like, she's got the weird like skin floopy things. I don't know what those are. They aren't ears. They're just what that species has, and other species have it. Mary Elizabeth Winstead has green ones. She's green the entire time. Okay, fine. Most of the time it looks like you're just putting on a head thing, like a wig that you would wear. But there's one scene where she'd been beaten up real bad and, been helped out. And there's just skin, and then suddenly it transitions into that color. You're like, that's how you're doing it. Okay, I didn't know. I thought there may be a hard line, like, or some other kind of, nope, it just fades in. Interesting. So makeup and costuming wise, I was really paying attention to what they're doing in storytelling wise. Her kind of counterpart in this is her robot droid, and the voice is David Tennant, which I know and love from Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And the only other person that I wanted to call out was Ray Stevenson, who plays like the main bad guy, although you're not 100% sure. Although at the end, he's still maybe kind of like a 50-50. He's kind of riding that edge of where Anakin went, I lost my legs, I'm going evil. He was right up until that point where you're like, you could save Anakin. You cut his legs off. That's Darth Vader now. That's the switch. So there hasn't been anything for that character, but he's like this big, huge dude, and he basically looks like a Darth Vader the entire time. He's brooding. There isn't a smile out of him. So those were my double feature and my featured double. But I did have two quick, short, really fast recommendations. If no one's seen it, The Portable Door on Amazon Prime, absolutely fantastic. It came out last year. It's been on my radar for a while, but it's not like a series. So it's just a one short movie, and it was fantastic. I highly recommend it. It's got Christoph Waltz, Sam Neill, and Miranda Otto, who I remember as like the aunt from The Chilling Tales of Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. So I highly recommend that. And another short recommendation, because I decided I should recommend something that maybe not everybody's going to bring to the pod. It's shorter than the 2 parts of Dune, 3.5 hours. It's just as good as the 2 parts of Dune. And it's much better than the 2 parts of Rebel Moon, but shorter than the 2 parts of Rebel Moon. Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour on Disney Plus.
Hell? Oh my God.
If you have 3.5 hours to commit to either Dune or Rebel Moon, go ahead and spend some time with this absolute amazing star. She's on target to be Cher, Dolly Parton, Madonna. She's got a career that's already spanned 20 plus years. I'm not really that huge of a fan. I catch a lot of the popular, more electronic dancey stuff. So I'd say half of that concert was new music to me because I don't have any of the albums. But I was blown away by how many different styles she's covered, that's what her fan base is. And so I was a big fan, and now I understand why my nieces went to the concert.
Yeah.
Because it was like kind of a blockbuster of a concert. It was like, if you're a Star Wars person, going to see all of the original 9 at the Hollywood Bowl from the beginning to the end in one day. You're like, damn.
Yeah, wow.
So it was really fun. I recommend that as well. But it's a quite endeavor to dive in. I'm sure you could just pause it every time she switches an era, though, if you needed to.
Yeah, break it up yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's all I had to say.
Wow. All right, cool. John, what's up?
Okay, I went to the theater and saw Challengers.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, I love tennis, so I needed to see it.
You do?
No, I don't know. I like tennis much more than some other things I won't name. But look, Luca Guadagnino, Zendaya, Josh O'Connor, Mike Feist. It's pretty, I don't know. It's tense. It's a real romantic sports thriller drama something.
It's its own genre.
I don't know. Yeah, it kind of was.
Zendaya looked like evil in the trailers. Manipulative.
That is one thing I will say. I just don't know that I understand maybe any of the characters' motivations. I mean, really, you're only dealing with these 3 characters. Occasionally, other people pop in. They're not that important to the story. So you can say at certain points what you think they're doing, but then at other points you're like, well, I don't know if that's what's guiding them here. And also, like, goal-wise, from one, just in life, we're not talking about tennis goals. They don't even have goals. But, like, where they're trying to go, it's hard to really parse, which I think is slightly purposeful. I don't know if I missed it or I'm the wrong audience or just maybe didn't give them enough. I don't know. But I had a hard time reading where they wanted to go. The characters, that is.
Got it. So it's kind of a love triangle, but it feels like Zendaya is causing more trouble than...
Yeah, that's what I'm struggling with. At the beginning, it's a little easier. She's, this up-and-coming superstar. That is the only thing she wants. Absolutely. Without a doubt. And then as things go off the rails, from that point on, you're kind of unsure. So, like, even in the trailer, which it's not that it's misleading, but, that... And also that image you see of her with the 2 guys on the bed is from that younger time because it spans like 15 years or something.
Oh.
So it goes back and forth and you're dealing with at least 4 different time periods. It's not that it's challenging, but there's a lot going on with that part. And it's, unraveling the story slowly and like what you think might happen. And then maybe they show it to you, maybe they don't. And maybe it didn't happen. And not that there's real quick, but like you as the viewer are constantly like, oh, okay, if we're going to go back there, then that's probably when that happened. And you're like, oh, maybe that is not, okay, you're showing me something different. So anyway, at that young period in her life and with, those 2 guys on the bed, yeah, she really only cares about tennis at that point. And she's not, the relationship thing is like, yeah, she's whatever. She doesn't care. Like, oh, I'm kind of messing with these dudes' minds. And like, I don't care. It's not what I'm interested in. So, but then after that point, it's harder to parse what her goals are in life, I feel. Tennis is still maybe number 1, which is partially a cause of drama, I think.
Yeah, because she's out of the game because of an injury or something, right? Yeah.
Correct. Major injury. She would have literally killed to have that recovery. So I think
Intense.
near a line from that movie. She was more intense. I can't even reveal. But the person that she's with that has a successful tennis career did have some kind of injury that we never really hear about and apparently has recovered. We missed that time period. We come to it after, and so that's why she says that. For all three of them, there's a lot of meat on those acting chops. It's pretty serious.
Okay.
I have nothing truly to add other than like Zendaya. Oh, tennis injury. And then she switches to coaching. I love that she didn't get stuck on drugs and become a drug-addled, stupid person like she usually does. Blue eyes. What's
Are
going
you
on
related
with
to
you?
Euphoria
And Dune, yes.
Wait, she's not stuck on drugs on Dune.
Take it easy.
Whatever.
The spice? You can't avoid
Yeah.
the spice.
If you read more into it, there's a more chill version of her and then much less chill in Dune when his character's like, actually, I gotta go do this other stuff. She's like, all right, bandana. Fucking dudes.
I mean, I don't agree, but I will
Okay.
Yeah, I will say Zendaya, I mean, this is real movie star stuff. It's not like there's 15 movies you can go watch with her right now.
She's picking her
yeah,
projects.
So, you know, there's not a lot of like, which character is this like? Like, this pretty much stands alone of the 4 of the last, 10 years of movies or whatever it is. Not counting Spider-Man, maybe. It's an incredible tennis love story. I mean,
You want to say match?
Tennis, it's funny. I feel like there are 2 things that people you kind of heard about. One, Liz, you might care more about, but it's possibly the sexiest movie of the summer without sex. I know, sorry.
Wah, wah.
And then the other thing is, I feel like I heard there was not a lot of tennis. It was like, no, there is a lot of tennis. I don't know who thought there wasn't. I thought it was more than enough tennis for me. It worked. I mean, if you're gonna have a story about a sport, and you gotta put that sport in, and that was enough sport for me. So it worked for me, and there were, they did interesting things with it, and okay, we're gonna show a shot from like the ground, underneath them playing tennis. I mean, they did a lot of fun stuff.
All right, cool.
If you like tennis.
Well, what if you don't like tennis? Can you still
Handle it.
I mean, that's gonna be up to the person. There's if you
Just
can,
say it, John. Yes or no?
I don't know. I mean, it's wrapped around tennis, so that's gonna be hard to get around.
Son of a bitch. All right.
What do you like tennis?
I know. I played it in high school.
Yeah.
I was on the team, and then I played in college as well. Now it's been a while, but I am tempted to put a pickleball court in my backyard.
What?
We're not going to
okay.
go down that road. But
God, this would have been much less of a dramatic movie if they'd been pickleball playing.
Ooh, I think,
A pickleball injury took out Zendaya. Oh no!
I think that would have been a good angle, Ed.
yeah. So again, we're not going down this road. But written by Justin Kurtzitz. I'm not sure how to say that, but husband of Celine Song. Past lives. So quite the power couple there. But yeah, I mean, speaking of Luca Guadagnino, I will say, I mean,
Which we often do speak of him.
all the time?
Okay, right? I had mentioned that he directed this in regards to him. It's part of that shared DNA that he has, even with Call Me By Your Name. And so even though a very different story, I did feel like I feel that here. So
Interesting. Okay, did you do a rewatch that you want to talk to us about?
no.
What?
You went to the movies again, didn't you?
Yeah, I know. I mean, are we playing the game that you don't know what I'm going to talk about? Because you do know what
I
I'm gonna
know.
talk
I had forgotten already. Am I supposed to remember?
Yes.
Yes, I went to the theater and saw The Fall Guy.
Oh, right.
This I'm excited about.
Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, they're having fun. It's an action movie. What could be better?
That's my hope, right?
So director David Leitch, or excuse me, I think it's Litch, maybe. I've tried to look it up and now I can't remember. So John Wick, and Nobody, quite a few movies.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, it's about a stuntman. So he was a former stuntman. Mm-hmm. His wife works in movies, and this is about a couple meeting. So there's a lot of parallels here. It's really very fun. There's a lot of action and a lot of stunts. Although it's funny because the stunts, there's actually not that many stunts. It's partially that the action feels like stunts.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? It's just because it's like he's
How
the stunt
meta.
guy. So it's like when he goes through a glass, whatever, window, door, something, it like, well, no, that's real at this moment in this movie, but in a way, because it's a stunt guy going through it, you're thinking about the stunt aspect of it. Not the stunt aspect like, oh, how did they do it in the movie, but like, oh, as a stunt guy, he's going through that, and that's different than how he would do it as a stunt, or like maybe he's bringing that, like that's what I meant. But there was a great sequence at the end. Honestly, it's like, could you give me 40 minutes of this? But like of them filming it, and so Ryan Gosling with wires on, and this, that, and the other, and it was like, oh man, this is really kind of crazy to see how you accomplished all this, because I mean they set a world record with the rolls. I mean they did some huge stunts in this. Did you
for
not hear
real?
about for real?
Because this is based off the TV show from the 1980s, The Fall Guy,
With Lee Majors.
and Heather Thomas.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I watched it, or we might not have been allowed to watch it. Might have been too provocative. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like that. It feels
I think
like
by
it
the
was not-
80s, mom was not monitoring us older kids so much, but regardless. So it's based off of that IP, correct? Loosely.
I will say it's surprising that you know that, because I feel like that's not really part of the messaging. That's like
Right.
0.7. So if you've heard enough to cover the first 6 points, like who's in it, what's going on, director of Bullet Train is kind of farther up the list than from this television show. I don't know how important that is for this movie, because it doesn't really feel that related.
The name.
Well, for sure, isn't the plot of the TV series is that he was the fall guy for like a crime that was happening where he was the stunt guy on the set, and he like figures out they're breaking the law and gonna blame it on him, and then he becomes a crime solver.
Really?
I'm gonna have to wiki that, and I'll maybe cut this whole segment out.
Wait a minute. Yeah, hold on.
Feel free to wiki live.
I very quickly wicked it. So Hollywood stuntman, Colts. Wait a minute. Now
That's the new one.
That's
I know
the
it's the new one because that's
one.
his name in the new one. I did a little comment on somebody's thing. Ken is greater than Colt, but not as great as Majors.
Yeah.
Like I think Ken character is better than Lee Majors as the Fall Guy. I don't know if his Fall Guy is better than the original Fall Guy.
No, so the name Colt Seavers is
both? Okay.
Is both.
Okay.
Is a Hollywood stuntman who moonlights as a bounty hunter.
A bounty hunter.
Yeah, and he uses all his physical knowledge and stunt effects to and his GMC pickup truck. They say
Has
here
like
to
a secret
capture
compartment in it.
fugitives and criminals. And his fellow stunt woman, Jody Banks, Heather Thomas.
So not
that
in
is
this one. She's a director.
Jody, yes, is the director. Emily Blunt, yes.
So some parallels, but not a lot.
Yeah, I don't think you need to walk in with any of this.
Okay.
That was kind of what I was saying. It's not related in a way that is important. But yes, there is that storyline, what they brought, because I think it's not just bounty hunter, but it's, detectiving, like, finding out who did the crime or whatever. And so that's obviously a lot of what happens in this movie. But also really, because it's, part of the whole thing, stunt guy on a film set, from the original show, doing this as a movie, there's just so much is a behind the scenes movie making. I'm walking on the set, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And that's all very fun. I mean, it's like, if you don't like that, you shouldn't even see the movie.
No.
So it's super fun the way they do all of it.
All right.
I've seen Ryan Gosling on a whole bunch of the junkets about this, and he's not a stuntman. He's an actor, and he's always really appreciated the stuntman. So a lot of his interviews are him just going, it was 10 stories. It's like just him reliving the trauma of doing the stunts in the Stuntman movie. It's pretty great stuff.
Yeah, there are definite times in that last sequence they show during the credits or whatever, where you're like, okay, which ones did Ryan do or not do? And it's like, well, I think that's Ryan. Well, I think that one's right. Well, I think that one's Ryan. You're like, oh boy, he might have done a lot of these.
Ooh. Gotta be careful with that face.
I mean, it's also hilarious because, the other thing we're not saying is, right, he's a stunt guy for someone. So part of this whole movie, or, this movie
Is that there's a Brad Pitt above him.
Right. So there's the movie star that he's doubling. Now, very different from, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But just this other person, you're like, oh, so Ryan is like, trying to help out this dude, be the stunt guy for that guy.
Oh, it sounds so fun.
It's very fun. You should go see it.
I'm intrigued. Good endorsement.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay. So should we just do an overview? So no rewatch from you, John. You just were seeing new stuff.
To be clear, Catherine,
Yeah.
as you already knew, and as I've made clear in this podcast, I did not bring something that I had watched previously.
Not that you didn't watch something, just that you're not going to talk about.
I have thought recently
Oy, oy, oy.
of like how, sorry, Liz, but how I would like, how could I tell them all the things that I watch? Because I don't bring them all. And I even did one that was like, oops, I could have brought one of those, but then I did the other 5. How do I do that? I guess I just don't. So yeah, yes, I did in my private life watch things that I'd already seen
How
before.
rude. I want to know what
I'm
they
the same
were.
way. I have things in progress, or there's things that I'm like, I'm either really, maybe I'm hate watching it. So I'm like, do I really want to bring that energy to the podcast? You're good at basically bringing everything you're watching. I sometimes do not.
Pretty much. But I'm always so amused and intrigued by John's rewatches. And
We
like,
did have a rewatch. We had the rewatch Roadhouse.
That's
You've seen it
right.
12 times.
That's true. So Ed hit the
That is
rewatch.
embarrassing.
Whatever.
I think I've seen full movie once for sure. I think in the movie theaters back in the day. And then I think I've seen clips of it numerous times. And then on Family Guy, there's some homage like Roadhouse. And so now my son and husband, that is a reference in our house.
Oh, okay.
So there you go.
Going to be a likely screening of Roadhouse soon in your house.
Oh, for sure. If it might have already happened and they just didn't include me. We'll see.
Rude.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're just going to do the recap portion, which we all say what we talked about. All right, so, I mean, right? What?
Yeah.
Why are you guys giving me such a hard time this episode? You're
I mean, listen, the audience doesn't know this because whenever these episodes come out, it looks all the same. This is like a early episode. Maybe some of us are grumpy.
Oh, early in the morning. We're recording earlier in the morning than usual. All right. Okay, so I watched The Big Door Prize on Apple TV Plus and Hacks, which is on Max.
I watched on Netflix Unfrosted and The Ashanti Case. And on Amazon Prime, I watched The Idea of You.
And I watched Roadhouse, 1989 on Hulu, Roadhouse, 2024 on Prime, Haunted Mansion, 2023 on Disney Plus, and Ahsoka on Disney Plus.
I went to the theater and saw Challengers, and then also in the theater saw The Fall Guy.
Perfect. Okay, so thank you for joining us on this episode of What We're Watching, and please follow us on all of our social media at Podcast Watching, and you can watch our episodes on YouTube. So that's it for this episode of What We're Watching.